as the very caves themselves. After the break, a young girl becomes the medium for poltergeist activity. A small campground in Nova Scotia's Caledonia Hills appears to be a tranquil haven for tourists. But campers here have experienced events that are strange and scary.
One evening, my girlfriend Sarah and I decided to go for a walk around the campgrounds. As we were walking along, Sarah spotted something in the dirt up ahead. It was a beautiful brooch. She dug it out of the dirt, cleaned it all up. Sarah really liked it. It looked like something my grandmother would have worn. It was very old. It looked like it had been around for a while. We decided to keep it and put it in our knapsack. As we did, Sarah said she felt like somebody was there with us, watching us. I looked around, but I couldn't see anybody. But she said that somebody was there with us. So we decided to head back to the campsite. When we got there, I put the bag down by the tent. We were sitting relaxing by the campfire when all of a sudden I noticed that the bag had burst into flames. I quickly put the fire out. Then I noticed that the fire had started from the pocket where the brooch was located. And the strangest thing? The brooch wasn't even damaged. In fact, it wasn't even hot. We told some other campers what had happened that night. They told us that this campsite had a history of random fires and hauntings. Apparently, this campsite was built on top of a house that was home to a poltergeist.
The campsite at Caledonia Hills, Nova Scotia, was once the farm of Alexander and Mary MacDonald. In 1921, the MacDonalds adopted a 16-year-old girl named Mary Ellen, whose father had died in a mining accident. Mary Ellen was to become the medium through which poltergeists acted out their nefarious mischief.
The MacDonalds could not have imagined their fate. The MacDonalds could not have imagined their fate when their first and only adopted child, Mary Ellen, first arrived at their home.
Come in, Mary Ellen.
She was a very withdrawn and depressed child, and the MacDonalds understood that this may have been due to the fact that she had experienced the death of her parents at a very young, vulnerable age. It was not long after Mary Ellen's arrival that very strange things began to occur. Spontaneous lights were reported by neighbors. And other things also were very strange. The family would hear footsteps upstairs while the whole family was downstairs. Over the next few days, various household items began to disappear. And then one day, furniture was found out on the front lawn, all ablaze. That fire was put out, but thereafter, spontaneous blazes occurred all throughout the property over a constant period of time. And the only constant factor in all of this was the presence of Mary Ellen. The already withdrawn Mary sank deeper and deeper into depression and silence. Indeed, the locals began to say she was a witch and that she was possessed by the devil. Desperate to find some answers and to stop the damage at their farmhouse, the MacDonalds summoned the police.
We don't believe it's children's pranks or...
Detective P.O. Carroll arrived at the farmhouse, and he brought with him an Antigonish reporter, Mr. Harold Whidden. Both of them spent the night at the MacDonald farmhouse. And during the night, lo and behold, the detective was awakened abruptly with a slap to the face. Yet nobody was there. Afterwards, the detective reported that indeed the MacDonalds were a credible witness and that all of the fires on the property were not set by human hands. Then came the night that caused the MacDonalds to flee their home. It was known as the night of the 38 fires. All through the night and all through the day, spontaneous fires were seen all through the property. The story attracted the interest of a well-known paranormal investigator, Dr. Walter Franklin Prince. He arrived at the farm with a psychic who had the ability to transmit from the other side messages in the written form. The frightened MacDonald family watched the pen fly across the paper as the psychic was channeling the energy that was present on the farm. Through the psychic, the spirit warned that if the MacDonalds did not leave the house as soon as possible, they would die. Prince theorized that the spirit was setting the fires through Mary, but without her knowledge. Very much like ghostwriters, or spirits who speak through ghostwriters, this spirit was working through Mary Ellen. No one is sure why the spirit was in the house or why it chose Mary Ellen. Maybe it was because of Mary Ellen's vulnerable emotional state due to the loss of her parents. No one really knows. This phenomenon is often associated with adolescent girls, young girls who have experienced traumatic events in their past. Poltergeists are known to cause levitations, spontaneous fires, lights, sounds, and even apparitions. Some believe that poltergeists are not spirits at all, but are pure telekinetic energy. Others believe that extreme cases of poltergeist activity are the work of demons or the devil. Although the MacDonalds left their farm in 1921, spontaneous fires continued to occur. Shortly after they had left, the home mysteriously burned down. Today, the property is now used as a campsite. And even to this day, campers still believe and have reported seeing apparitions of a young girl walking along the paths joining the various campsites.
My wife and I were sleeping in the tent when we heard a strange noise. It sounded like wild animals, but we were very careful not to leave any food or garbage around the campsite, so I'm sure there was nothing there to attract them. I decided to go out and have a look. The camp was a mess, our stuff was strewn all around, some of it was even on fire. I know I doused our fire with water before I went to bed. My wife can attest to that. Later, we were sharing our experience with our friends, and they said they'd heard of similar occurrences happening at the same campground. They asked me if I found anything or picked anything up. I had to admit that I had. There on the ground, right in front of our campsite, lay a fork. It looked like an antique. I don't know why, I just picked it up and put it in my pocket. They said that's what caused the fire. I don't know if that's the case, but I'm just glad that I didn't take it into my tent.
Many people believe the spirit that haunts the MacDonald land remains on the land, trying to drive people away. It wants everything to remain in place. Is it peace the spirit wants? Or is there something more sinister going on? Campers, beware. And take care you don't remove anything from the property, for fear of spontaneous combustion. After the break.